There was one bad thing Elizabeth Taylor did in 1964. A reporter earned her trust by writing about her deepest secrets. They met in hotels and on ships for months. She would pour herself a drink, light up a cigarette, and tell him everything. He told her he was just helping her write her autobiography. She had no idea that he was quietly writing down everything she said. Those tapes were found 50 years later. People thought they knew the woman, but she was actually living two lives. Salafani Elizabeth was the name she gave it. The real story was a lot worse. Liz Taylor was born in London on February 27, 1932. Her life seemed like a movie from the start. Her parents were American art traders with a lot of money. They had an art store on Bond Street and lived in the fancy neighborhood of Hampstead Garden. A famous artist and politician they knew was Colonel Victor Cazalet, who became her honorary godfather. It wasn't all fun and games, though. In 1939, when war was about to start, U.S. Ambassador Joseph P. Kennedy told her dad to get the family out of there. The SS Manhattan was how Elizabeth, her mother, and her brother got away in April of that year. Her father stayed behind to close the shop and then came over to join them. First, they lived in Pasadena and then in Beverly Hills. They quickly became part of the social scene in Hollywood. This big event changed Elizabeth's life forever when she was only 7 years old. Elizabeth was famous even when she was a little girl. When she was 3, she began taking dance classes. She wasn't just good, she shocked everyone. They even had Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret watch her dance. Not many kids could picture such a big crowd. Because of her parents' ties, it was possible. Her mother was an actress, and they were friends with people from British high society. People knew about Elizabeth's skills before they moved to Los Angeles. No one said no to a friend's idea of a Hollywood screen test. Before she got to Hollywood, she had already done shows for Queens. She felt like fame had been waiting for her the whole time. Liz got her first movie part in 1942's There's One Born Every Minute. She was 10 years old at the time. She was signed by Universal Pictures for 7 years, but they dropped her after only one movie. They believed she looked too grown up and wouldn't appeal to people. It turned out that choice was a terrible one. Everyone else saw how famous Elizabeth was. MGM picked her up right away. Universal missed the chance to make one of the most famous people in history. Elizabeth won 2 Oscars and has had fans for more than 60 years. What was bad for Universal was good for MGM. Liz was signed by MGM in 1943, and it changed Hollywood. In 1944, when she was 12, she played the lead role in National Velvet. To ride in the Grand National, she played a girl who dressed up as a boy. The movie did well. Elizabeth almost got a special Oscar for kids. Peggy Ann Garner came in just behind her. But there was a cost to the part. She had to follow a strict plan to get taller so she could play Velvet Brown. She hurt her back badly when she fell off her horse while shooting. She was hurt and would always remember it. They did give her the horse as a gift, though. She became famous after the movie. She got a new deal with MGM that pays her $750 a week. In the 1940s, that was a lot of money for a child. She was going to become famous. Elizabeth's first marriage was set up by MGM when she was 18. It was to Conrad Nicky Hilton Jr., who is the heir to the Hilton hotel chain. The studio wanted her picture to look good so that they could sell it. They even bought her a dress for the wedding. Behind the scenes, though, the marriage was a mess. Hilton drank a lot and was mean to people. Elizabeth lost their baby because he kicked her so hard one time. They were married for only 8 months. She got a divo. MGM was very angry about the split. In order to keep up their good name, they punished Elizabeth. They snuck her into the cheap 1952 movie Love is Better Than Ever. It wasn't up to her skill. The movie didn't help her get work. It was easy to understand. Break the rules, and you'll have to pay. Studios treated their biggest stars, mostly women, this way. Image was more important than being safe or happy. Things changed, though, in 1952. She didn't like her small part in the movie, but it was a big hit. It made $1.3 million in 39 days. It made $5.8 million in the US and Canada and $5 million in other countries. That added up to $11 million around the world. It made the most money for MGM that year and was also a big hit in England. 3 Oscars and 2 Golden Globes were given to the movie. It was now clear that Elizabeth was a star. People still came to see her in roles she didn't like, though. In the same year, Elizabeth's personal life changed once more. She got married to British star Michael Wilding and was going to have her first child soon. But there wasn't much money. She signed a new 7-year deal with MGM to protect herself. She was paid $4,700 a week, which is more than $55,000 today. Wilding got a loan for a house and jobs as part of the deal, but the studio also got even more power over her. Elizabeth was unhappy with the parts MGM gave her, but she had to do what they said. She was stuck. It gave them money and security, but it also tied them more closely to a system that cared more about making money than the people it owned. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, Elizabeth Taylor's life was like a storm that no one saw coming. She had a fancy dinner party at her home in Benedict Canyon on May 12, 1956. Things were going to be nice that night, but all of a sudden they changed. Chester Clift, her friend, left early. He hit a telephone pole with his car not far from her garage. The crash was very bad. His face was broken, his nose broke, his jaw was broken, a few teeth were broken. Taylor quickly heard the news. She ran barefoot to the wreck without giving it a second thought. She got there before the help arrived. Cliff's teeth were getting stuck together. He had blood coming out of his mouth. Taylor didn't think twice. She put her hand down his throat and pulled out pieces of bone and teeth. That night, she saved his life, but Cliff's face was changed forever. The accident changed his appearance for good. Still, what she did that night was brave, and it became one of the most moving stories of friendship in Hollywood history. She saved his life, but that wasn't the end of her love for him. Cliff's job went away after the accident. He no longer looked. Studios said they couldn't insure him. Things got worse as his dependence on painkillers and booze grew. When MGM refused to cast him, Taylor stepped in all of a sudden that summer in 1959. She gave them a choice. They had to cast Clift or she would leave. They got scared. Clift was dangerous. Taylor did something that no one thought he would do. She gave her own $500,000 pay as security. Back then, that was a lot of money. Clift got the part because of her. Many people nominated the movie for an Oscar, and Taylor once again showed how far she'd go for a friend. She fought hard, but in the end, she couldn't save him. Cliff had a heart attack and died on July 23, 1966. He was only 45 years old. In Reflections in a Golden Eye, they had planned to work together again. But he died with that dream. Taylor was broken. He was the one person who truly understood her, so she called him her partner. He died, and so did her husband, Mike Todd. His death made her feel even more grief, guilt, and sadness. They kept following her all her life. That pain was linked to her struggles with drugs and bad relationships. The best times of her life were with Mike Todd. They got married in Acapulco on Fee. Todd showed her a lot of love and kindness. He gave her a huge diamond one time, and she wore it as a pendant. He went so far as to rent Madison Square Garden for her party, but happiness turned into sorrow. Todd's plane, the Lucky Liz, crashed in New Mexico on March 27, 1958. He died right away. Taylor was 26 years old. She was crushed by the loss. When she heard, she fell down. She was not able to be comforted. She turned toward Todd's best friend, Eddie Fisher, out of grief. That friendship turned into a scandal. At the time, Fisher was married to Debbie Reynolds, who was known as America's sweetheart. Taylor was shown as someone who destroys homes. The news called her a bad girl who broke into homes and slut. The whole country saw Fisher leave Reynolds for Taylor. They got married on May 12, 1959, just 3 hours after Fisher's divorce was final. But the marriage was doomed from the start. Taylor later said she didn't love him. She said he helped her get through her loss. It was lonely for them to be together. She was so desperate to get away that she even tried to end it all by taking sleeping pills in front of him. She lived, though. She felt terrible about everything she did. Fisher became more and more angry as things went wrong. In 1961, when Taylor fell in love with Richard Burton, Fisher made threats against her. He stood over her and pointed a gun at her head more than once while she slept. He told her in a whisper that she was too pretty to kill. He would sit next to her with the gun, touch her arm, and keep making the threat every time she tried to sleep. She finally ran away, leaving him behind and taking her kids with her. Taylor got her first Oscar for Butterfield 8 in 1961, but she didn't like the movie at all. She only took the part to finish her deal with MGM. The win didn't feel good. She thought the Academy gave her the award because they felt sorry for her. She was very close to dying that year from influenza. It took her 4 times to breathe again after the tracheotomy. Some news sites even said she had died when she wasn't. When she made it through and won, it was seen as a prize for what she went through, not for how she behaved. From 1958 to 1964, Elizabeth Taylor went through more trouble and pain than most people do in their whole lives. People said she was the most hated woman in America. There were protesters after her. Hate mail and death threats were sent. Fish's shows have signs that say, "Liz, go home." She kept going through it all. In the end, she said, "I am a survivor. I live to show others what they can go through and still survive." It's true that she was that. Cleopatra wasn't just a movie when it came out in 1963. It was a big deal in Hollywood. The budget went down to $44 million, which is more than $426 million now. That much money had never been spent on a movie before. The price was 3 times what Ben-Hur was. The price almost put 20th Century Fox out of business. The price was as crazy as the chaos going on behind the scenes. The first director was fired. Costumes and sets as a whole were thrown away and made again. Elizabeth Taylor almost died in London while shooting because she got pneumonia. To save her, the show had to move to Rome. People all over the world were interested in more than just the gold-covered sets. That's what took place between Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. They fell in love on that set. Their love story grew bigger than the movie. The head of the company, Daryl F. Zanuck, even wrote to Burton and said that the two of them were a good match. A lot of people rushed to the movies not only to see the movie, but also to see the emotion that had taken Hollywood by storm. That love kept the studio from falling apart. The romance didn't just make the news pages go crazy, it also stopped Cleopatra in her tracks. Early in 1962, everyone found out about their affair. Taylor and Eddie Fisher were together. Burton was with Sybil Williams that day. Then there was the picture that changed everything. Them holding hands on a boat in Ischia. The press went crazy. Stars suddenly couldn't keep their private lives secret any longer. Because the incident was so big, 20th Century Fox stopped making movies. In the 1960s, every day off was worth a huge $100,000. People on the set passed out from being so tired. The factory boss got so sick that he had to leave and soon after died. Burton's diary wrote about nights full of desire. He called Taylor a one-night stand that would never end. They kept kissing like there was no one else there, even after the cameras stopped. A Difficult Movie became a worldwide hit because of the scandal, which also changed the way Hollywood and the press worked for good. Hollywood was not the only place with drama. Everyone was watching, and a lot of people were very angry. Taylor was called names in 1962 by the Vatican's newspaper. Because she loved Burton while she was married, it said she was a sexual vagrant. It said that what they did was an insult to the nobles of the home. The anger was all over the news around the world. Because of their moral decline, some U.S. leaders even said they shouldn't be able to come back to the U.S. At the same time, their relationship became a sign of freedom and excess. The set had to have more protection put in place. When threats were made against Taylor, Italy's version of the FBI stepped in. However, Taylor and Burton did not give up. The split between Taylor and Fisher was finalized on March 15, 1964, just 10 days before Taylor married Fisher. Burton and she got married in Montreal. Everyone in the world saw it as both a win for love and a huge scandal. People talked a lot about them as a couple. Taylor was in the news for more than just her love life. It was against Hollywood's rules for pay, too. It was the first time a woman or man got $1 million for a single movie role, and it was for Cleopatra. She didn't stop there either. She was able to get $50,000 a week in extra pay. It took 2 years longer than planned for the shoot to last 16 weeks. Taylor had made almost $7 million by the end